guys, this is Orochikochi again, and welcome to another video. So guys, like, subscribe, and leave your comments on the video. And yes, guys, I'm gonna be commenting and reviewing on the game between South Africa and South Korea. Yeah, guys, that was an amazing game, guys. Yo, it has been an amazing day, even though I'm tired. It's been crazy having to wake up and watch the game and still having to go to work, guys. It was tough. Energy was being depleted throughout the day. But yeah, I think the excitement made me get through the day, even though the body was tired. But we got through it, guys. So I'm coming back again, guys. I'm going to review the game. I'm going to give you my thoughts. I'm going to give you what I saw, tactical insight, how I looked at the game, and what the way forward is for them, guys. So I'm going to walk without any waste of time. We're just going to get straight to it, guys. Big win. That was a massive win, guys, in terms of how we played the game. Firstly, the way we set up the game, we set up obviously in a 4-2-3-1. When you look at I think for every single time and throughout the tournament, we've always looked at the fact that the 4-2-3-1 is a system that suits us tactically, systematic wise. That's the system that we feel comfortable around. You can see that the way that the players, they understand the system, they understand where to go. Yes, there are little intricacies that you can change within the tactical setup in terms of where to go, how to do, but in general, from the starting lineup, you can immediately see that there's some cohesion and some understanding from the players when they looked at it. I wasn't mad with the lineup, even though I will say it's Pepele Stole. I put my hands up. Yeah, we'll explain about it later in the video. But when I looked at the game, played in the 4-2-3-1. Mudiwa as a right left wing back, Ocon and Mbokazi. I think it's starting to look like we have a centre back partnership, guys. That's for the next few years going forward. I feel like now we have our core of centre backs that we're gonna rely on. Ime Ocon and Mbokazi, very good in the midfield. Pepele Stole and Mbata. I was surprised. I won't lie, I was surprised. But Pepele Stole and Mbata in the midfield together as the two-seaters. And then we had Relebogile Mafokeng, President Yamatuke. We also had Oshina Polis. We also had Tapelo Maseko. And then at the front, we had Nwanawasisi, Evidence Mahopa. So in general, the game, when you looked at the tactical setup, I was pleasantly surprised. Obviously, when the game started, I was a bit disappointed with the midfield makeup. But irrespective of that, I understood that we're always when you're looking at a Hugo Broos team, there's always something that you're gonna expect something that you're not gonna expect that's gonna happen. And obviously the thing that we didn't expect was for Pepele Stole to start ahead of Jaden. But when you looked at the game and you looked at how the game eventually developed, that was actually the change that was probably much needed, because I think Pepele Stole brought a bit of physicality and his technical acumen in the game, and technically and tactically he positioned himself very well, and he did make the right passes more often than not, and there was always where he needed to be. So that one, I'll put my hand up and say that Hugo Broos made the right decisions with regards to that. But then now when I'm going into the game, guys, the game was a very tough game. When I look at how it eventually developed and how it eventually came up, obviously we always expected that at a technical level, South Korea probably will give more of a possession with regards to us, and they did. They shape up in a 3-4-3, and generally most of the dangerous players are Kangin Lee, and then the other player I'm not familiar with. They played a Hee-chan who plays for Wolves. He was the other inverted number 10. They had two central midfielders who are very tactical, very good on the ball, positionally very good understanding. You can see that they play at a higher league. We had Kim Min-jae at Bayern Munich. He's the centre back for Bayern Munich. So overall, you could see that this was a high quality team very adaptable. They are very dynamic. They can keep the ball. They can keep the ball for long periods of time. They can press you when they need to press you. They can defend in a low block when they need to. They can play in a mid block if they need to. They have certain traits that can make them good. But then, such as every team has a strength, there's always advantages and drawbacks to whatever system and way of playing that you have. And I felt like we go into that game, the way the way as South Africa and as Bafana we approached the game. I felt like we approached it very well. We did what we needed to do, and then from the start of the game, when I looked at it, we started the game very well. We kept the possession of the ball. You could see that the plan from earlier on for us was for us to make sure that we stay tight, make sure that we minimize the space in between the half spaces between our midfield and our center backs. If you noticed, Mudau and Modibo were very close. They didn't overlap. They would overlap to probably the the halfway line, but then they never bypassed. They were always within our own half in the first half, in the second half, because I think they understood. And if you noticed, Hugo Bruce, Mudiba, and Mudau, they were very close to our center backs, because generally the inside number 10s for Korea are always going to occupy the space between our center backs and our full backs, because they are always going to make those runs into those spaces. So within that cube of the wing of our left back, our winger, our number 6, and our left-handed center back on each side, we always had to make sure that we minimize spaces in those areas, so that we don't give those number 10s enough time on the ball to be able to look up and make the pass. Kang Lee and the other number 10, which is Hichang, generally, so you would always see them coming in front of our midfield line to get the ball, because the area in between that area was very congested, and we minimized space. As soon as they got into the space, you could see that our center backs and our defenders were very onto them. They gave them a lot of pressure, so we didn't give them a lot of time in that area. I always say that you mustn't allow them to get into the kitchen. In that oven area, we made sure that they didn't feel comfortable, you see. But you could see that there was a plan to make sure that we minimize space. We don't give them enough time on the ball. If they have the ball in front of us, it's much better than having the ball in the dynamic zone or in the important zone in front of our D-line, playing combinations, playing the ball out wide. So we made sure that we were very hard to beat. And then when we had the ball, we gave them, and then when we had the ball, and that gave us the platform that when we did win the ball, we could play quickly, which is one of the things that we have, is we are very dynamic. The moment you have the ball, we could spring the ball quickly into Oswinapolis, but most of not, we were using Thapelo Maseko because of his speed and his pace. And that's because South Korea's wingbacks are very high, and then they confront our fullbacks, and they confront our fullbacks. We made it give us an opportunity to use the spaces on the third from their center backs and their wing backs. We manipulated the space. There were 3 or 4 chances in the first half that you could see that were breaks from balls that were cut into the midfield line by Mbata or Pepelo Stole. Straight ball into Mufokeng, quickly ball, we stretched it out wide. And you could see that we had a plan to make sure that we hit them on the break as quickly as we could. We didn't do too much in possession of the ball. I felt like I still feel like we're struggling a bit with being able to play the ball in the way that we play. I think our passing patterns and our optimizations in terms of our movements, we still don't have the type of crisp movement and passing of the ball when we have possession in the opposition half to open up teams. We are not doing that well enough. We were still breaking when we did that and we didn't have enough time on the ball, I don't feel like we did that enough to be able to confront the defensive line and bring the defensive block of Korea. I felt like we were playing too fast enough, and I felt like that's an area we need to improve, because I remember when I was speaking to one of my colleagues, and I was saying that when we were watching the game, and my brother was like, if we were gonna win the game, the biggest challenge we have as a country is the fact that Bafana Bafana is that we are not a clinical team. And that was one of the biggest things that I was worried about, because we don't create a lot of opportunities. We're not the type of team that creates one chance and scores. We need a high volume of opportunities for us to score. And when you were seeing Thapelo Maseko getting the opportunities, it was starting to get a bit scary, because I didn't feel like Korea was gonna last, because they were sloppy in possession. They were sloppy in possession, and because they were sloppy in possession, they were playing balls. We were cutting a lot of balls in the midfield and in the midfield. But then the biggest problem was that it was either once we were breaking the pass, the final pass was poor, or either the decision making of our attacking player, which was most likely Thapelo Maseko or Mufuke or Mahopa or Osinapolis. They were not making the right decision in terms of what to do in the final third when they were given the opportunity to run in behind. So we were not utilizing the opportunities and the time that we had on the ball. But I felt like we were more content also knowing the fact that South Korea was not threatening us, and that eventually, because we were creating chances and we were creating nice breaks, we were eventually going to create a chance that we scored. But I was a bit afraid that we were creating a lot of chances and not converting them from Thapelo Maseko's side, because I felt like Korea were eventually going to grow into the game, if you understand, guys. And that's how it happened. Eventually, the game ebbed and flowed, and we were keeping it tight. And that chance from Ahopa, guys, that nearly gave me a heart attack. But then, obviously, when I looked back at it, it eventually became offside. But I was a bit afraid about that. But then we went to halftime. Obviously, we regrouped, and we needed to score. That was the biggest thing, is that we needed to score. And the more the game developed, the more Korea was starting to Korea, and I think our players eventually understood what they needed to do in order, in which areas and spaces we needed to attack to score. So I think it emboldened us the more the game went, because we understood that as much as Korea will obviously want to improve from their first half performance, because I felt like it was uncharacteristic of them and it was sloppy, but it also had a part to play because of what we did. We knew exactly what to do in minimizing them space, which areas, which pictures to give them, which areas we wanted them to play in. And because we were giving them those areas, they weren't creating a lot of chances, besides the first header in the first half from the corner kick, and the shot from Kang Lee in the first half, and the header. Probably they didn't create anything at all generally. So I felt like we were growing into the game, and we felt like the more breaks that we're having, eventually we felt like we were eventually gonna score. And eventually we did get that break. When Moremi played the ball, we won the ball back again, sprang the ball quick into those spaces that I was speaking, in between the fullback, the wing backs, and the center backs from Korea. Moremi ran into that space, cut the ball back from Maseko, something that he had tried two times before. This time eventually cut back in, was and shot into the bottom left-hand corner. And it was well deserved, because we were threatening throughout the game. And I had even said that for this game, I feel like if we wanted to tactically, for me, I felt like it would have been smart for us to play Moremi and Maseko, because I felt like we were always going to have a lot of opportunities to utilize the space in behind of Korea, especially their center backs, because as much as their center backs always one thing that is in front of them, the spaces running in behind. Even though I was surprised because of the recovery speed, I think also Korea understood that South Africa will try to attack those spaces. But even though we were creating those chances, I didn't feel like we were clinical enough. But then playing Moremi, that second half substitution of Moremi was what we needed. And I felt like, guys, we deserve to win. We deserve to win the game. Obviously, the last 20 minutes, we're always going to sit back deep, always try to absorb pressure, not give them enough time. And I think eventually we got what we deserved, which was a win. So when I looked at the game, very chuffed, very happy. Um, Looking forward to I'm really happy with the performance. Also because we played the system that I feel like the players were familiar with, and you could see the comfortability of the players. Even though when you're playing high quality teams, they'll always create the odd chance there and there. But Ronan guys didn't have anything to do. We protected him very well, and he didn't really have a hard save to make that you would say, wow, he's a world-class save. He was very comfortable throughout the game. So I really feel like our defensive structure from the whole team was very good. Offensively, I do feel like we have to a lot to improve, and that's why I'm going to my next segment about the way forward from there. I do think that, guys, we need to improve our ball movement, especially in possession. I do feel like we are very inconsistent with our passing patterns. And I think it also has the thing to do with regards to us changing a lot of systems. The reason why I feel like that plays against us is that you can see that a lot of our players are not used to playing in a system that is very unorthodox, like a 3-4-3 or 3-5-2 or a 4-3-3. I feel like the players are very comfortable. Our players are very comfortable when they play in a 4-2-3-1 because they understand the roles that they are supposed to play. Even though in the final third, I do feel like we've lost that spark in terms of the passing patterns that we generally have. I don't feel like as much as we know that our movement, also if he's playing on the left wing, he drops into the half space, he plays more like a second number 10 with Mufukeng. I don't feel like they're combining the way that they usually combining with the Atlanta Pirates. And I feel like the one thing that we need to do is that we need to make sure that there's that pass that has to break the midfield line of the opposition team. We need to be a bit more quicker with our passing and our movement behind the off defensive line or behind the midfield line of our opposition teams. We need to play in those half spaces. We need to play around the corners, create a bit more triangles, and do it a lot quicker at a pace that will give a lot of teams, because technically I do feel like we have the technical ability and the capacity to be able to improve in that area. Yes, of course, we won't cross a lot of balls because our players are very diminutive, and generally we like to play with a lot of speed and quick passing, incisive passing. But we need to develop and improve in that area, because a team like Canada, from what I've noticed, is a very physical team, very quick. I do feel like they will compete with us physically, but I think that if we are more careful and we care for more on the ball, and I always like to use this word, have a bit more conviction in the final third with what we are doing. I do feel like, guys, we will have a chance to even win that game. I do feel like we have to add a bit more conviction into the game. Our passing has to be much crisper. Our movement has to be much sharper. And our players we have to make sure that when we get the ball, we have to attack the space. We can't afford to be very lax when we're moving into the final third. I do feel like if we improve in that area and we improve in our conviction in that area, we can score a lot of goals and create a lot of very good opportunities. But I feel like the players sometimes, I don't know if it's because of us playing a lot of different tactical systems that are not giving the players enough opportunity. But I do feel like we can improve in that area quite substantially, because we need to score now. We are going into the knockout stages. We need to be more clinical, but also we have to make sure that we keep the ball for longer periods of time. We mustn't lose the ball too quickly. We mustn't lose the ball too cheaply, like the way we did, because there was a time where it became a basketball game in the first half where we would win the ball back very well, but then we would lose it as quickly as we would get it. So we need to improve in our ball retention and our capacity to move the ball. Yes, we can move the ball slowly, maybe from the back, because we are looking for opposite movements in terms of if maybe Pepelo Stoll is going into the libero role or in front of the centre backs to take the ball off the centre backs. Obviously, we need our other number 10 Mfokeng or our other number 8 in other talent battle or Jaden Adams to make the opposite movements, so that we can be able to have a coordinated building up schemes that will take us to the final third. And that's where the million-dollar question: can we improve enough in the final third to be able to score and create more clear-cut chances? to create opportunities, goal scoring opportunities that will put us in it. Because now there's no opportunity, there's no points at stake. We have to score, so our players have to improve. I feel like Oshwin hasn't really played as well as he needs to improve. I do feel like Mfokeng, it was a very good performance. Maseko, I think, is an automatic starter now also in our next game. The midfield is where we need to make some changes now, because we have a good problem now in terms of what we are looking for. And now we know that we have to choose between our 4 midfielders now. And I feel like now, from the strength of the last performance, I don't think Jaden will play. I think it's probably gonna be between Siphelele Sithole and Mbata, playing close to Mokoena because of the short turnaround also, and also the quality of Mokoena. Mokoena is our best central midfielder, so we need to play him in the game. But overall, guys, I'm quite pleased. There are areas obviously which we can improve, but I do feel like, guys, we have a good scope to be confident to win the game against Canada. I will also make a preview for the game against Canada before, about what we need to do, about what Canada will do. But in general, I'm very happy with the performance, and I'm very happy with the energy and the desire the boys feel. They showed a lot of heart. They understood that they needed to win the game. And yeah, man, we were moving forward, guys. We're moving forward, so I'm very proud, very happy. No DNA, just RSA, guys. So hopefully, guys, we enjoy the game. Hopefully there's gonna be more improvement. We're gonna have a bit more of a more tactical breakdown. We're gonna share more about what we're gonna do. But overall, above and all, guys, enjoy your evening. There's more to come, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye, guys.